So which part of Whitefield?
I am in Nallurahalli. That is just near Vaidehi Hospital.
Okay, I stay in Nallurahalli only. That's why. Borwell Road.
Well, probably, hope you don't stay in my same apartment. I don't think, because I'm a president of the apartment, I should be knowing. New Temple Road, Aditya Ilan, that near, how should I say, IRV Business Center,
Yes, yes. I
just
know.
behind it. Just
So
behind it.
it is 10 minutes from my home.
I
If
see.
I walk,
In Bangalore, which place?
if I walk, 10 minutes.
Borwell Road?
I stay in Borwell Road.
Borwell Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, which apartment? I think I should be crossing that by walk every day.
Malibu Paloma, near Casa Gopalan.
Oh, I know that.
I think we have lot of participants now, enough participants to start, and it's also 7:30. So
Yeah.
maybe we can start. Maybe Kiranji, you can do a very short introduction.
I think you can just read out from. No?
Sure.
So, Mr. Venkatramanan sir, he has spoken in various forums on history, philosophy, religion, and culture. He has degrees in philosophy and psychology and has spent 8 years on learning Vedas and sacred books. And he is a popular speaker in various places, including on TEDx. So we are very thankful to him for having agreed to talk to us, and more people will see this because it's being recorded, sir. We will be
Thank
putting
you.
it up on YouTube later on.
Thank you. Shall I?
Yeah.
Sri Vidyam Sivabhama Bhaganilayam Hrinkara Mantrodvalam Sri Chakrangida Bindu Mandala Vadyavasatim Srimad Sabhanayim Srimad Shanmuga Vignarajajanim Srimad Jagan Mohinim Meenakshim Pranadosmi Santatamakam Karunya Bharam Nityam. This is a sloka by one of the greatest intellectual giants of India, Sri Adi Sankaracharya, in praise of Devi. This one statement comprises all the 18 principles enunciated in the Veda. This is a normal invocation I use whenever I address this gathering. May the Devi's blessing and Sri Adi Sankaracharya's blessings be showered on all the participants. Oh, Hari. Now the topic we have as on date today is what is real history and what exactly are we being fed with in India. It is often said that history is what a victor wants to write and wants to convey. In fact, that is what has been imposed upon us for the past nearly 800 years, and we have been going through this history as the victors have wanted us to proceed further. And we have been hearing to the same history over and again, with the net result, even when we are presented with facts, we are numbed and we don't recognize facts as such. Now, where do we start Indian history from? When you look at Indian history books from the college or school levels, you will find the history of India begins only from Alexander the Great. The Great is an adjective we Indians are very fond of giving to Alexander. And we are also being given the information that there seems to have been no history at all in India, that is Bharatavarsha. We have been taught to believe that Puran and the Itihas are nothing but stories. When we find, even we Indians, we do not read our Purans and Itihas. What we do, in effect, is that we have been whitewashed and we have started believing in whatever has been fed to us. So what do we do? Puran in Sanskrit means ancient, very ancient, which means what we read in Puran is nothing but prehistorical fact being presented to us. And what is itihasa? Itihasa in Sanskrit means itihasa. This happened with us. So as a matter of fact, both Puran and itihasa are facts. Whereas the itihasa have happened in the present historical frame, say probably to between 7,000 and 8,000 years of the present era, basing on the fact that the present date of Ramayana having taken place in the year 5114 BC, which puts it across to around 7,100 years ago. So that is the frame of reference we are talking about these itihasa. Whereas in Puran, they go to prehistorical times, ancient times. That's very, very old. So this is the fact if we go through the record. Since we have the mindset and we have been made to believe that these are stories, we approach them from the angle of a myth only. When we teach children, we don't tell them there was Rama, there was Dasratha, and he married Sita. You know what we teach our children? We teach children, once upon a time, there was a king called. So when you start saying this to children, it immediately conveys the impression that it's a story. It's not so. It is a fact. Now, having given this introduction, let us see what is happening as far as Indian history is concerned. Number one, in history, we are led to believe that around 312 or 315, Alexander invaded India. He defeated Porus, and he was magnanimous enough to give the land to Porus, and he went back. Then he appointed Seleucus Nicator as his governor in absence, and he was closely associated with Chandragupta Maurya at a later date. And Megasthenes wrote Indica. This is the basic information we have given. The point is, when we refer to Greek historical record, it states a different story. Only in India, we call Alexander the Great. Look at the Bactrian kingdom and Iran. They don't call Alexander as a great. They record him as a looter, as a man who destroyed his cities, as a man who could not win over Xerxes easily. He found it very difficult, and then with great difficulty and with some inside help, he defeated Xerxes, and he came into India. Then people have to check up. When people say, we also call Porus. Who is that Porus? What is Kandahar? In what way, what is the name of the king whom he has defeated? He has defeated the king whose name was Purushottama. And who was the man who was supposed to have aided Alexander to defeat Porus or Purushottama? He is called Hambi. So Hambi was a king, and he was a king of Gandhara, and he helped Alexander the Great to defeat Porus. Now, this Hambi is none other than a descendant of Shakuni of Mahabharata. So they come from a very, 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 very high lineage. Shakuni is not bad in the sense that that's a different issue. He comes from a great lineage, and again, so Gandhari was born in Kandahar. That is why Gandhara, she is named as Gandhari. Now, this Hambi was, in fact, I have recorded all this information with evidence by the research done by Russian archaeologists and Russian historiographers. And what they say, and it is a fact also, Hambi never exposed Porus, nor did he help Alexander the Great. In fact, Alexander the Great was so scared on seeing the elephant army of Purushottama, and he got scared, and in effect, the net result is he did not defeat. In fact, the story is otherwise, and actually Purushottama spared his life. And second point is that he was so scared of Bengalis, he was scared of entering Bengal. He ran away from Bengal, and when he came back, when he retreated back through your bacteria, that is the present day Iran, what had happened was he was a homosexual, and he was afflicted with syphilis, and then he died. Now your historians paint him as the greatest leader, and he has done. Now what is it they have done? What is it they have done with this history? They made us believe that we never had a history. Whatever we had among us were people who were betraying their own kith and kin, and that man was great enough to install his own man who gave some system of governance in India. Before that, there was nothing, which is absolutely, totally wrong. We have been told that there is no history, there is no written record, and we have started believing it. Who said there is no written record? Who said there are no books? Because people tell us that there are no books. What are you talking? Why do we not take into account the epigraphs? How many people see them in the epigraphs? You see in all the South Indian temples, no temple is without epigraphs, and also inscription in the temple. They give you all the information about the reign of kings, starting from Ikshvaku dynasty, and also why go to Ikshvaku dynasty? From Vaivasata Manu, after whom the word human has come from. Vaivasata Manu was the first human being to be born in the world, and that is one sort of evidence we have. And the second evidence is that we have the Puranas. Then we have the third evidence is the Itihasas. And the fourth is the literary evidence of two greatest researchers in India. People will learn, understand them. Many of them have one author people may not even know. That is King Kalhana from Kashmir. He has written a book called Raja Tarangani. It actually traces the lineage of kings, how they have come into India. The other one is, of course, Harivamsa of Kalidasa. Because we acknowledge Kalidasa as one of the greatest literature in the world, we think whatever he has written is a false. It is imaginary. It is not so. It tallies with the evidences being presented. And the third source for your verification is that you can go for astro dating, astronomy dating. Now, what happens when you take Mahabharata or when you take Ramayana, you find certain celestial happenings have been recorded over there. Those can be checked up with latest software, and it helps you to determine whether that period, what they have mentioned, is really true by juxtaposing with the time frame in the software itself. Only through that process, the date of Ramayana has been arrived at 5114 BC. And when you find, now I'll give you the real history. Now this is the basic information I would like to share with you. Now let me try to trace it. Now, when do we begin our history? Now, before that, let us understand what happens in world history. When people look at history at the world level, especially European history, you will find that whenever, for example, let us take Huns. Huns right now are the people who are supposed to have been the ancestors of the Germans. Now, the history of Germany becomes like this. When there were Huns were there, they were present, and there was a wave of migration from the east, and those people intermingled with the Huns, and they interacted with each other. Later, their civilization started developing, and they invaded what is today what we call as France, and also your UK. The UK was invaded later by Viking. Viking again, we can trace it back to Indian origin. I'll come back to that a little later. I have time. Now, see, this happens in every history. Please check up all the history of human migration in every country in the world. Correct? When you start looking at all those things, you will find whenever they say there is a civilization, there is some disturbance. There is something, migration from the east. When you are saying migration from the east, who are the people who are migrating and from where and why? If people are migrating from east towards west, first question is that who are present in the east? When somebody you say is migrating from X place, that means that those people were present before you were here. When I say somebody is migrating to Bangalore from Chennai, I imply that those people in Chennai were living right before when I started, right before I started living in Bangalore. So when you start checking the time frame of the civilization, you will come across three curious phenomena. In fact, there are five. For academically, three are proven. They are called the Great Floods. The Great Flood information you will find in all the ancient civilizations, and this great tsunami is said to have happened in the world. First, second, and third. All the three tsunamis have been recorded in Tamil literature, and they have also been recorded in the Bible. Of course, my comments on Bible is slightly different. So I am just taking it as a sort of corroborative evidence, not a primary evidence. I never consider Bible as a primary evidence because it lacks credibility in terms of its origin, because it was written 300 years after the supposed crucifixion of Christ, from around about 1,000 editions presented to the caliphate, that is Constantine. So, but some information we can do it because it was used as a political tool to manage the country by Constantine. Now, this flood information is found in all the Hittites, Incas, Mayas. Then we have, wherever we go, in Australian Aborigines, everywhere you will find this flood. What are these floods? In Tamil literature, Tamil is one of the ancient languages in India. While mentioning this, I would like to dispel some points, some misunderstanding, which has crept into the total diaspora of India. From my research of past 12 years, I'm convinced, I've written in detail with evidence, no language in India is less than 5,000 years old. It will be shocking for people to know that I am assigning these dates, but it is a fact. For example, if you take Bengal and Gujarat, probably maybe being the nature of the subject is that sometimes they appear to be deviating, but still you will get some startling information. When you look at the topography and India and the physical features of three different state people in India, that is from West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, that is South India, then again in Gujarat, you will find a similarity in facial and skin tone mainly, and also the nature of their food consumption and habits. Why? Second, if you will also find the intermingling of Gujarat and Tamil Nadu, that is what we call as Tamil Nadu. See, we'll have to also talk about the earlier times, is that the landmass was totally different. So you did not have a Gujarat then, you did not have a Tamil Nadu then. At that point of time, when Dwaraka sank, it's a proven fact. You can check with Graham Hancock, and also our oceanography department has done. When the last Dwaraka sank, of course, it has been dated 30,000 years ago. That is a very detailed reason is there, why there is a vast time scale difference. Now, before the Dwaraka sank, Sage Agastya is reported and recorded in Tamil literature and also in Sanskrit literature, has taken 72 families from Gujarat and settled them in the border state, in the border areas between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. They were called the Velis. This means local domain kings, and they were the vassals of the great Chola kings. Similarly, Parasurama also settled their own kith and kin, one set of people in Goa. It is called Parasurama Kshetra. Then the Kerala was called Parasurama Kshetra. Konkan was also established by Parasurama only. We have forgotten everything. We have assigned Goa straight away to Portuguese. Before Portuguese, what was happening there? Nobody knew. Only thing is we knew Francis, and we have his body to venerate. And who was this gentleman who have massacred people there, killed everybody? And that is the status of history we do have. This is the migration has taken place. When you look at these people, what happened? These people were forming an ethnic group. And these ethnic group Now we are talking about times of prehistory. I am not talking about thousands of times. I am talking about millions of years ago. We have, because of that, now before that, we need to understand 2 points. One point is the antiquity of Indian landmass. The landmass is that, I'll give you a few examples. Now, Tiruvannamalai, which is located in Tamil Nadu, which is an abode of abode of Lord Shiva, where one of the places where the Panchabhuta Agni is represented there. That is Tiruvannamalai. That Tiruvannamalai, based on rock infra dating by Geological Survey of India, is dated to be 3.4 million years old. Now, people who would have gone to Lord Balaji temple, there when you go to Tirupati, on the right you will be finding one Shila Torana, one arch. That arch is dated to be based on rock dating 2,100 million years ago. And there is a temple, Jwalapuram, Shiva temple in Jwalapuram in near Kadapa in Andhra Pradesh. Now it is Andhra Pradesh because they kept on dividing the state. I don't know which state to which city belongs to. That near Kadapa, there is a place called Jwalapuram. There is a Nataraja idol. Now, based on the ashes sediment on the idol installed in the temple has been dated to 74,000 years ago. This is related to the volcanic eruption which took place in Indonesia. This is the date time span we are talking about. So, relatively speaking, when you are taking up the landmass of landmass, what we find now down south of India and Satpura. Now I don't use the name Dravida because it has been so messed up. There is a lot of misinformation going around. The south of India and Satpura, they are one of the oldest geological plates. And this area is at least 230 million years ago. When compared to this, the age of our Himalaya is hardly 80 lakh years old. Now I am just connecting it to our Shiva. Shiva. I never call, please excuse me if I don't use the term Lord. In Hinduism, God is not our boss. He is our father. He is our friend. So we call him as Sri. Sri Shiva, the whole story about Shiva, everything about Shiva starts from his marriage with Sati, she being born as the daughter of Himavan. Then actually Unmatta Shiva he became, and her body is cut off into various parts, and it lands in throughout India, and it became the Shakti Pitas, 108 in number. But what was the story of before? He comes straight out of nowhere and then does. The answer lies only in south. That is, the Shiva, the concept of Shiva in Vedic literature is very sparse. If you look at it very carefully, the Vedic text, you will not find a straight reference to Shiva. You will find him only through Rudra. In the entire Shiva, in the entire Veda, you will find Purusha Sukta, Narayana Sukta, Vishnu Sukta, Sri Sukta, Durga Sukta, Bhu Sukta, Bhagya Sukta, innumerable suktas, nothing in the name of Shiva. The only thing you will find is Shiva, that is Rudra, Sri Rudra. In Sri Rudram also, Shiva is not directly mentioned. People who know what Rudram is, they will know. It is called Guhyam Guhyatamam, secrets of the secret. It is hidden in the fourth Anuvaga. You know how they say it? There they say, Namah Shivaya cha Shivadharaya cha, that's all. Namah Shivaya cha Shivadharaya cha, that's all it will come. The straight information is not given. Whereas, you find it in South, Shiva is present throughout, it predates, Shiva worship predates in South than in Vedic. He is considered to be the first yogin who developed the Vasa Yoga, which is higher than what was being taught by Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. So the worship of Shiva started from here. Then, and where there's people here, these people were living in the southern landmass. Now the name, there is a confusion. Some people call it Lemuria, because of Westerners' point in Lemur was living there, and later it was called Kumarikannam. Both are totally different, and that is the landmass of area which lay farther down Vindhya and Satpuras only. Himalaya was not born at that point of time. Based on the geographical evidence, the date is around 230 million years old. On this subject only, I spoke in TEDx. Now, what had happened in this area? A culture developed. The culture was two. One is called Mu culture, and another is called the culture which now they call it as ancient culture. These two ancient cultures have developed. When these cultures have developed, how did these cultures develop? And who was the first human being? The first human being, now we go to the same, the fundamental where I started first. The first human being, which is as per, of all the Puranas, one of the most authentic, most popular Purana is Sri Vishnu Purana. In Vishnu Purana, in all Puranas except in major detail, minor differences are always there, but they do not matter very much in the scale of things and in the subjects they are dealing with. In Vishnu Purana, when they are talking about the world, cosmology, and they start explaining how things come. The first human being was Manu. Manu was after whom the word human has come from. The Manu, he had one son called Ikshvaku, and among others, he had other sons also. Eldest son was Ikshvaku, and he also had a daughter called Ila, Ayalya Ila. Now, when a great tsunami struck in south, which is recorded in our Srimad Bhagavata Purana, whatever information I am saying now with the same name, for example, Vaivasvata Manu, Ramani's blog, whatever information in short I am giving, we will find a detailed analysis with credible text and links. Because the information which I am going to part with may sound improbable, but unfortunately or fortunately, they are facts. Now, when Manu had two, one is Vila and another is Ikshvaku. When the great flood came, that was the first flood. This first flood came how? Because there was a Matsya. These are all symbols. When the Matsya came, it was on a commander. When it started going big, he started developing. There was a flower flood is likely to come. Then they escape in a boat. The same allegory is used in Enoch and also in Bible, in Judaism also, because your Noah's Ark. The basic concept is there, because it has been borrowed from Indian text. Now, what had happened is that now this Manu, where is he from? Manu, Bhagavata Purana very clearly states, Manu was an emperor ruling Dravida Desa. Here, Sanskrit, it means, Dravida means those who live below, those who live south of Vindhya and Satpura. Now, we have not come to the level of Himalaya. So, this is earlier to than this. So, the term was used later by sage Vishwamitra. Prior to that, it was never used. You will find the name of Dravida Desa, you will find this reference only from your the references made in your Ramayana. Prior to that, the reference to Tamil land was through the Vedas, but they say in Sanskrit, they don't directly say Dravida. They use some other name and then say some other geographical reference they give you and locate. Why this south, how did they disturb? Because at that point of time, Ramayana time came into being, at that point of time, Himalayas had come into existence. Because of the tectonic shifts of movement of earthen plate, when it went towards north, when two Asian plates and Eurasian plates started colliding another, because of the pressure, one went up and within the gap rose the Himalayas. Then came Himalayas. Now, at that point of time, Vishwamitra had 56 sons. When he was going around with this, he was, all of you know, he's one of the greatest saints who has given us the greatest mantra forever. For Hindus today, it is the Mahamantra, Chandas, it is Gayatri. He is venerated as a Brahma Rishi. He is one of the greatest ever has lived. And when he was going around, he saw one cobbler. The moment he saw him, When he talked to him, he found a spark in him. He said, okay, I'll teach you Vedas. Then his sons got so upset. Now there's a separate subject. What is concept of varnasrama or caste? That's a very, very serious topic. That has a different implication. Now let me narrate the historical aspect. Then our Vishwamitra's sons objected to this and told him, how can you teach a man who is not from our caste? There's again, then Vishwamitra got, well, the first thing is you have not understood what caste is. The second point is that I am not only your father, I am Guru. So you have made two mistakes. For that reason, I am trying to excommunicate you. I am going to send you out of this land and send you out down south, Havadadesa. Thus came those people, they came down. Because at that point of time, Vishwamitra and those people were thinking that the people down south were not very highly developed and civilized. So, say he just banished them. When they came, when those 56 sons came here, they found a highly flourishing culture with high literature and very beautiful way of life. You know what they did? They intermingled with these people and they took out what the best customs are among these people and married with the Vedic custom, and that thus came the Abhastambha Sutra written. The Abhastambha Sutra, many people may be aware, it is widely practiced. Other places are practiced are Kartyayana Sutra from Vindhya and Satpura and Bodhayana Sutra, other Grihya Sutra. In South, you will find only Abhastambha Sutra. So that is how the South concept has come. Now, this Vaivasvata Manu, his son, when Ikshvaku went to North, he founded the Ikshvaku dynasty. And what had happened to his daughter? His daughter's name is called Ila. She founded the Pururavas dynasty. Later, it has come to be known as the Lunar dynasty or Chandravamsa. Today, you will find from Tamil Nadu down south, they are asking for Tamil Elam. What is Elam? Ila, they have defended this area is descendants of Ila. That is why Chandravamsa. Then these rishis, Ikshvaku, he has founded the Surya Vamsa, to which Sri Rama belongs to Solar dynasty. Being related to each other, uncle and aunt, both the dynasties married, they intermarried. So the whole dynasties, both dynasties sprang up from these two basic dynasties, Solar and Lunar dynasty. Now, coming to then later came the Ayla dynasty. The Ayla dynasty, you can trace it back to the Middle East. I'll come to that later. I think I will have some time. Now, out of these people, and where was this Manu? When we are talking about South, where in South? Is it in Chennai? Is it in Kanyakumari? It is in India. Unfortunately, at that point of time, there was no landmass which was called Tamil Nadu as a place which you can call South. He meditated near Madagascar. This is very specifically proven by the references in Srimad Bhagavata and also the archaeological findings in and around Madagascar. So near Madagascar was a place where Manu meditated. From Sri Ramachandra came the dynasty. We started spring from Manu. When from Manu, when the dynasty has started, now there is a series of kings. This has been explained and cross-tallied with the events explained in Mahabharata, in Harivamsa, in local legends. Now, when I say local legends, I'll explain what it is. In temples, every temple in South, in also North, has a history behind it. They would come and tell you, this is what has happened. Temple mein aisa hoya hai. This is what they say. When you marry it with the information which you find in the Itihasa and the Puranas, you will find both of them tallied. People cannot lie. Now, I have traced the history, the lineage from Sri Ramachandra, from Vaivasvata Manu himself, straight away up to Mahapadmananda. After that, your present history, you can start taking. Chandragupta Maurya, then it comes. I'll stop it there, I'll proceed. This is the basic parameters we'll have to think of those terms. Now, your important question starts coming here. When you're talking about this, what about the other countries? Why are you not talking about Veda? Why are you not talking about Europe? Why are you not talking about South America? Are you mad or something? You are You are a fanatic. I'm sorry. People forget that at the vast stretches of time, these civilizations did not exist. You check up any references, marry it with the geological position, geological date, and also the information being given. And people who read Valmiki Ramayana, please check up the descriptions given by Sri Valmiki about the flora and fauna in all the places is given. It tallies even today in every place. Now, most of the information which I'll be reading out in a few seconds, because long list, I would like to restrict myself to the time frame given to me. Even it is slightly less for me, but again, for people who listen, it might look long. Now, when you have what has happened to those civilizations? Now, what you should look for, when somebody in the West say, I have started the UK, yes, now when we start reading about Western civilization, what is the information being given in history? The information is, there is a Renaissance in Greece. As if Greece has given you everything. Greece has given. After Greece came, then you've got Renaissance, then you've got, that industrial revolution, everything has come. Please go and read it. Where did this Greek history, Greek culture spring from? It sprang from 2 or 3 different sources. Minoan, Sumerian, Assyrian, Babylonian. And where are these people have sprung from? Now you keep on going in that area, will finally happen in India. How did it come? Now I'll explain how it happened. Now, this is how, at that given point of time, there is only one place which was called, the beautiful name was given, Bharatavarsha. This Bharatavarsha is the name given to the earthen landmark where people lived and followed a way of life. Even today, Hinduism, in the strictest sense of the term, is not a religion. Hinduism is not a sect. Hinduism is not a set of belief. Hinduism is a way of living. That's all. Now people are unable to find how to describe it. So we use the very loose term, literary term, Hinduism is a religion. Sorry, Hinduism is not religion. For his information, Sanatana Dharma is different from Hinduism. That I will speak when I find another opportunity. Now I'll give you a few examples. Number one, I'll give you I've given enough background of how this history is to be taken up. And now I'll trace the presence of Sanatana Dharma throughout the world, which will indicate to you why I'm saying that all the world civilization have owe their existence, all cultures owe their very existence and sustenance from Sanatana Dharma itself. Number one, in Iraq, you will find a temple called, you'll be shocked to know the name of the temple, Rama's Chapel. It is placed in the place Ur, U-R. Now the beauty, it is recorded, you can read it. The beauty is, U-R, Ur is the name it is given. Rama, Ramachandra, Sri Ramachandra. Ur in Tamil means a city. In the same place near Red Sea, now we are going further. They found potsherds older by about 5,000 years, written with Tamil Brahmi. Number one, that is as far as Ur is concerned. And the second, you will find in the Middle East, there are 2 kingdoms. One is called Mitanni Kingdom, another is called Hittite Kingdom. Mitanni Kingdom consisted of comprised of what we now have: Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Jordan, and towards the east of that area, bordering up to Iran. Up to that, from Iran side towards this Turkey side, was occupied by Hittites. And these Hittites, they had a king. You know the name of the king? Tushratta. You know who Tushratta is? Tushratta is none other than Dasharatha. The evidence is there in the Sumerian cuneiform, where you find the name of Sri Ramachandra, Dasharatha, and Bharata. Here Bharata is not Chandravamsa, Dushyanta's son Bharata. It is brother of Sri Ramachandra, Bharata. These three people are found in the king's list of Sumeria. It is in the cuneiform. It is still there. Now, in Egypt, the pharaoh, the first pharaoh photograph exists. I have provided in my research article. He wears a Thiruman. The probably people would know the caste mark of Sri Vaishnavas. First pharaoh was wearing a Thiruman, and an attempts have been made to hide the fact, saying that it was a Photoshop. Then the original photo has been given, and the original book dated around 200 years ago has been produced. Now they have kept quiet. And the second information. In Egypt, the number two, pyramid number two had a shloka written in Sanskrit. That is from the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Vasamsi Jirnani Yata Vihaya, that is a shloka. When they start saying that, in that shloka, this is with reference to people, what happens to people after death. Now, this was found inside the pyramid, and it was taken away and kept in, British Museum, London. At the point of writing, this article was written by me about 7 or 8 years back. I did not have the original photograph of that shloka. I did not see that, but I had reproduced the photograph from a very, very labels. And as usual, I am called a right historian. I take it as a compliment because what I write is right. That means correct. So I take pleasure in that. So what had happened is that when they said, I had a lot of comments coming, I never replied them. I said, okay, I just approve them. No, you are just saying something, it's nonsense, everything. Suddenly somebody, I think some lady came back, sir, I'm living in London. I saw that in British Museum. There the matter ended, I thought. Then they said, no, sir. Then after that, somebody went there. They said it's not there. I published both the information and kept quiet. Now, what had happened is, then in the year 2008, I recorded, I went to London. I'd been there to London. My son was there also. I had some lecture commitments in UK, Bradford, Leeds, and also London. Plus, I had to spend some time with my son. Then I purposely went to London. I went to British Library, Museum in London. It was missing. When I went, then on the contrary, I found an image of Sri Vishnu belonging to 4th century BC. They have dated it. See, 4th century BC. Okay. Now, I tried to meet the curator. He take a look. I said, I don't mind. I'll come again. I was coming from Leeds. I said, I don't mind taking a train and coming every day till I see the curator. And I went to the curator. This information we are not supposed to give out. Then I told him, gentlemen, if you're not going to give out, I will expect you to give me in writing that you do not have that. Either that, or you say, I am not in a position to give you any information. Either you give me in writing, I am not in possession of it, or I am not in a position to divulge the information. He said, sir, I can tell you one thing this much. That has been taken by a private collector back. I have simply produced the information in my article. So this is the status. See, the information, any information we have today pertaining to India and its antiquity, it is totally suppressed throughout the world. Today, how many people know the Kohinoor is in British Queen's crown? How many people know on coronation, the chair on which the British kings sat was taken from India? It has Simhasana. It has got Simha. I have provided the photograph. This is the history. This is our present. In the Middle East, the Syria, Lebanon, Turkey, all these places had Indian king. And you know who first conquered the entire world? Sri Ramachandra himself. I listed the kings who Done. Later, the second part, who won that area? Chandragupta Maurya. Sorry, Chandragupta. What did Chandragupta? He won that area, and then he installed 360 idols in Mecca. All these 360 idols were vandalized. All the out of the 360, the 360 idols included all the Devis, Navagrahas, and everything. Prior to this vandalized, right? Let me stop on that. What had happened is, after that, many people have not thought about one important event in Indian history. That is, why did Ghazni attack Somnath for 18 times? Did anybody think about it? If a king invades a place, the first thing is, for 17 times who drove him out, we do not know his name. The man who valiantly fought and he kicked him out, we don't even know his name. But we know the victor. Okay, that's apart. If a man attacks a country and starts looting, why should he attack that place 18 times? Has anybody thought about it? Had he a hidden agenda? Did he have any purpose? Why did he choose the Somnath temple? The reason is very simple. The basic three deities, including Mannat, I think probably Shah Rukh Khan's house is also called Mannat. Mannat is a god of fertility or faith in Arab pantheon of God. You know who it was? It was goddess Durga. Now, for these people who destroyed that evidence, even then they had a feeling that that brings luck. They wanted to recover it from India. They had the mistaken impression somebody has hidden it. Somebody has taken it and then kept it somewhere. That is why he was not able to find it again. Now I'll give you some more information. There is a Sivastuti, one of the beautiful pieces written on Shiva. You know, it was written by whom? Maternal uncle of Prophet Muhammad. You know who was the custodian of Mecca before Mecca was vandalized? The family of Prophet Muhammad. Do you know that the victorious inscriptions were found in Mecca? Do you know the Shivalinga is in Mecca? I provided surreptitiously taken video. I have not taken from any side, from side. That also is there. Surreptitiously hugging it. You just go and see. This is as far as Middle East is concerned. Okay, you got Iran is covered, Iraq is covered. In Iraq, simple. Farsi is Zindavasta. It is basically an influence. It is Shastra say he is a rebel. It is a part of it. The system is called Agni. See, Veda, you worship only Agni. Zindavasta has its own sources in our Veda and all the Vedas. Do you know Navjot ceremony? You know what it is? It is nothing but your Upanayana. Now, let me read out some of the information I have noted because too large, I can call it offhand, but still the time has run short. I think I got about only 4 minutes. Before that, I'll run short. Number one, the presence of Hinduism throughout the world. What are the physical evidence I have to back up my statement? Number one, you will find 2 temples in the United States of America in Colorado. One is the Natural Vishnu Temple in Colorado. Number two, you will find in Colorado quadrilateral temple of Shiva. Third, there you find Mount Shasta, which is exact replica of Tiruvannamalai. It is called the twin mountain of Tiruvannamalai. It is called Mount Shasta. Shasta, does it ring a bell? The Shasta is the name of Lord Ayyappa, Sri Ayyappa, Harihara Putra. Then, you know, the place where Kapila, an avatar of Sri Vishnu, meditated. That is the place where the ancestors of Sri Rama went in search of a horse. They found the Ashwamedha horse there, that is Sagaras. Sagaras, and 64,000 in number. They wanted to find the horse. They found it in that place. It is called the Padalaloka. Today, US is Padalaloka for a simple reason. When you take Earth as a globe, you just take the globe and see. Yeah, US will be lying exactly beneath what you find as Bharat, India today. Now he found the horse, Ashwamedha horse, standing before Kapila. Kapila is one of the greatest munis, and he is considered to be an avatar of Vishnu himself. He founded a system of Indian philosophy, and Kapila, they thought he stole the horse. Then they disturbed his penance. He simply opened his eyes. All these 64,000 people were turned into ashes. To get them the Sadgati, Bhagirath brought Ganga. That is a different story. You know the name of the place? That place is in English in California. You know the name of the place? It exists the same, Ash Island. And the place, the area where he meditated upon is called Kapila Aranya, today California. Then next we come to, then you find in Padalaloga, our Puranas and Itihasas say giants live. Today you independently verify how many giant skeletons have been dug up in California. I'm sorry, Arizona. You will find them. Then coming to Mexico, Sita Rama festival, you know, during Navaratri, we conduct festival, right? The same period in Mexico, they conduct one festival that is called Sita Rama festival. And next, I am just choosing one or two instances from each region only, because it will take time. In Honduras, we have a temple for Makaradhwaja, son of Hanuman. Hanuman, even though he is an ascetic brahmachari, when he was traveling to Sri Lanka, his sweat came down. Let us not interpret it as semen. I'm sorry. People have a very bad habit of interpreting everything from below the navel. It is incorrect. As people saying, I've written an article blasting people who say Shiva is a phallic symbol, because these people absolutely degenerate. Shiva has nothing to do with phallic symbol. Similarly, when he went, because those people are different species. Hanuman is not a monkey. The people call him a monkey god. Is Hanuman monkey? How many people know Sanskrit? In how many places the name monkey is used by, exact name is used by Valmiki? No. Hanuman is called a denivosan species. He is calling him as a kapi. He is not called Vanara. Even then Vanara. Okay. If an evolutionary place, a miscellaneous, you can take it. So when he said come there, some other power, because we do not know, we do not have, simply because I do not know something about IT, I can't say it's nonsense. I do not know about liquid propulsion. I can't say there is no solid fuel technology, liquid fuel technology. When his sweat came, out of which, one Makara drank it and the child was born, it was called Makaradhwaja. Makara, many people translate it as your whale. No. Makara is a different species. It was caught, I've written with a photograph, caught off the coast of Vietnam about 15 years ago. Now, Makaradhwaja temple with Hanuman being present is in Mexico. And again, in Central America, you find a Shiva temple. Then you find Kublai Khan's son. Kublai Khan has consecrated a Shiva temple, taking a sculptor and a priest from South India. Then we find in Central America, we find swastika and pachisi. You know, pachisi game is being practiced even today. Then let us come to UK. Funniest point, till about 13th century, they had a habit of burying people, dead people, with this posture. Made them lie down. They were being made to buried. Then in Ireland, Ireland is called as the land of Danus, Danavas. River Danube. All these, I'm not saying this without evidence. Please go through my article where you find enough evidence and resources and links. Danu's children named River Danube in honor of their mother. In Russia, Vladimir Putin has exclaimed, I have never seen anything. It is called Port Bergen. That is a place where remains of a palace have been found. It was built by Pradyumna, Krishna's son. Russia was called Strivarsha, wholly managed by ladies, until it was a republic, ladies' republic. Then we have a mountain. It is called Narada mountain. In Russian, it is called Narodnaya. Then in South America, we have Nazca lines. These Nazca lines are geoglyphs, they call it. These Nazca lines, I have translated it with my little knowledge in Tamil Brahmi. It is Namah Shivaya. Now, these Nazca lines, when extended geographically, they touch the top of Angkor Wat. You know, in Angkor Wat, the design on the top is based on Devi Sri Chakra. And the whole Angkor Wat is built on Vedic Mandala principle. In Russia, you will find Vedic Mandala principle, Rigvedic Mandala city. How a city is to be built, Rigveda says you. Everybody thinks Vedas talk about only mantra. No, everything is there. Only thing is we have to look. Mandala city has been built in Russia. In Russia, the earliest name of Moscow river is called Moksha. Then Yagyavalkya had his ashram there. Then Yama's Homakunda is found in Peru. Then we have, when you talk about Sri Lanka, I did not say anything. Everything related to Ramana, you will find that. So I don't think I should take much of your time on this because I'm already overshooting this. Then in Cambodia, you will find, of course, the biggest temple structure in the Hindu temple structure in the world is not in India, where it is supposed to have been born. It is in Cambodia. You know the second biggest temple complex in the world after Angkor Wat, it is Srirangam in Tamil Nadu. Then you have there Kabil Span, that is Kabal Span. There you find a valley of Sivalinga, and you find stones, completely stone images of all gods. Then we have in Africa, the Sivalinga worship was present 1,800 years ago. In Thailand in its earlier days had Om and Indra's Airavata in their flag. And in Fiji, one second, I'll tell you what is that. Yeah, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand were founded by one common man who belonged to Kaundinya Gotra, who was from Tamil Nadu, Kanchipuram. Then in Thailand, they celebrate the Tiruppavi and Tiruvambavai principle. That is the month of Margazhi, that is in December. Now it is starting in the 18th of this month, in Tamil month. There is special, before your Uttarayana comes, April 14, in the earlier month, the Devas are supposed to be in the last stages of sleep. So they offer, some special offerings are made to God, and the songs are sung in the name of Vishnu. They are called the Tiruppavi, written by Andar, one of the greatest saints of Sri Vaishnava saint. Another is on Shiva, written by Manikya. These are used even today in Thailand. Now we have Trinetra dance of Shiva being performed in Australia. And we have government declaration saying that in the Parliament of Australia, we have to protect the Sanatana Dharma Brahmins have brought to us. It is in Australian Parliament. I have produced the facsimile of that document. Then Balamon Brahmins are found in Vietnam. So wherever we go, you find all this information of Indian culture being present. I think I have run out of time, overshot my time by 7 minutes and 25 seconds. I'm sorry for having taken much of your time. Thank you for your valuable time. I'm sorry, again, regret that I have taken most of your time. Thank you very much for having given me an opportunity. If there are any mistakes, it is my error and not on the part of Sanatana Dharma. My interpretation, I think I'll have to improve. But one thing I can assure you, my passion is to find out what truth is. Asatoma Sadgamaya. May God Abhirami bless us all. Thank you. In case if you have any doubt, not doubt, question, please ask me. If you have, I am ready to answer to the best of my ability.
Thank you so much. I think Lakshmi Prasad is a chartered accountant, and he must have been highly impressed that you were noting the minutes and seconds also. 25 seconds, 7 minutes and 25 seconds. So there is a lot of interest generated in the sources, and he has shared your blogs from where it can be sourced. But I think Arnab, we open it for the interaction.
Right, please, yes, you can have interaction.
You go ahead and
I have posted
moderate
the
it.
link.
Yeah.
So yes, so any questions people have, please feel free to ask. I have also posted in particular about this presence of Hinduism around the world, and of course his whole blog, ramanisblog.in, but even within that. So yes, anyone has some questions they can ask. Maybe I will just ask with just a small thing. So P.N. Oak has also spoken a lot about this Vedic heritage around the world.
Yes.
Right? He has volume, right? I think the thing is called World Vedic Heritage or something like that. History of histories. So yeah. Okay. So the one thing is that you have this collection of articles. Is there a book?
Yeah.
Etc.?
Sorry, sir, I have not written it because I still feel that I have not completed my research. I need some assistance in people to collate this because I still keep on writing. I keep on researching. I have no book.
Also, the other thing is P.N. Oak, the one who exposed Taj Mahal as a Taj Mahal, that
yes,
he
correct.
He has.
He is right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I concur with him in the sense that number one, when you visit Taj Mahal next, please look at the number of kumbhas present, and the thing that projections are there. It will be in multiples of 11. The 11 is always associated with Sri Shiva because he is called Ekadasha Rudra. And the ground layout plan, I have also written on this. Please Google Taj Mahal Ramani's blog. You will find in the series, the ground floor plan is Vedic plan for a Vishnu temple. And Tejolaya Shiva temple, it could have been changed. Now, added to this, I'll give you some additional information. Humayun tomb we will find here, there you will find Vishnu's pada buried under the entire structure. It was earlier a Vishnu temple. Now, in Tamil Nadu, is there somebody from Tamil Nadu, Chennai, they may be able to know now what I'm going to say, because it's connected with what you said. Because many temples have been raised to the ground and some other religious structures have come. I have written, I don't want to say anything about that. You can just find out the religion's name and find out what I have written from sources. Now, a temple which is today considered to be Kabalishwara temple in Mylapore, Chennai, is not the original Kabalishwara temple. You know where it is today? Where it was? It was located in what is now St. Thomas Church, called in a place Santom Church. Now what they have done is, when they were in the seminary of the church, they found an inscription belonging to Rajaraja Chola, describing Nibandha in Sanskrit, they call it, the donation given to that temple located at that place. Original Kabalishwara temple was built there. Now today we find your Santom. Then we have some more in Santom. St. Thomas is the greatest fraud perpetrated in India. He never visited India. The sources are from the Spain. We have quoted from the journal. There was never an individual called St. Thomas who has never visited India. Please check on those. I forgot those points. Yeah. Anything else?
I think Pramod Pathakji wants to ask something.
Yes, sir.
Please ask, sir. Pramod Pathakji.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. It was nice listening to you. Now, my question is, you have sort of crossed over the time limits which are normally believed. Now, do you think that the carbon dating, as it is being practiced, is a valid way of dating the ancient artifacts? That is one. And second is, as far as my information about the carbon dating and the grains, etc., go, the human society learned to cultivate around 10 to 12,000 BCE. Whereas when you are talking of the Madagascar and this is a million-year time difference, which sort of doesn't agree with what scientific research on the this thing is. Now, what is your opinion about the carbon dating?
You are right. Number one, carbon dating is unreliable. Please check what carbon dating is about. You know what? Carbon dating is normally done based on the decay of carbon in any fossil or any object present. This, scientifically speaking, this will not give you a correct result for a time frame extending over 50,000 years ago.
Yes.
So, carbon dating is not reliable. Secondly, one more information, if there has been any atomic explosions that has taken place in the Earth's atmosphere, the carbon dating parameters will not work. It will give you an error. Now, therefore, carbon dating is totally unreliable. This is one of the sources we can take as a parameter. Now, what exactly can you do? I'm just taking your question little further. If carbon dating is not reliable, what else can we do? Another thing normally people use is that astro dating, that is astronomy dating. Now, that is based on that. Now, I'll be scoring a self-goal here. I am aware of it. Let me anyway tell you, because we are after truth. A man who seeks after truth is not worried about making a self-goal. I'll tell you what happened. So when you are taking, astronomy-based dating, how do we determine the data? For example, Srimad Ramayana, based on the Jataka of horoscope of Rama and certain celestial event. In the case of Mahabharata, 2 eclipses have taken place during the Mahabharata. Now we take it and then we do it. We take a software and then we update it. I think probably you know the process. Then you arrive at a date. Then you confirm, yes, the date is correct. This is on the basis of which everybody has arrived, all the dates, not only in India, throughout the world. But essentially, what people forget, one astronomical and physical fact is that universal physical phenomena, that is astronomical phenomena, happen in the world at fixed intervals repeatedly. I'll give you an example.
It is 26 years, 20,000. See, every date or this thing will probably repeat after every 26,000 when the axis goes round. Now, if you take that, then it becomes all the more uncertain that which cycle and which cycle.
No, I'm going still down than that. I'm still going to the basic question. Now you are talking, say, Pushya Nakshatra, Amavasa Tithi. You know what happened? Amavasa comes every month. In which Amavasa will I link it? Right? And again, you will find when you write Sanskrit years, it is not linear. Now I'm coming to an interesting concept, which today quantum agrees. No, Prabhava, Vibhava, Sanskrit starts and it ends. It doesn't start again 61. It will again start 1 to 60, 1 again 60. It's cycling. Now, in Indian philosophy, when you are talking about knowledge, you will not take science as separate, history as separate. We don't have that in the system in India. Our system of education and knowledge acquisition is different. Simple logic is that when we are talking about time, time is non-linear. Time is not straight. There is no yesterday, there is no today, there is no tomorrow. It is cyclic. The time which you find today as yesterday, today, and tomorrow is for the convenience of your brain, your mind to conceive. It is a philosophical question because, as Immanuel Kant in his criteria, a critique of reason and practical reason, he has very correctly observed. Space is the space and time are the two spectacles through which the human mind perceives. So long as you have space and time as shackles, you can never know what is being perceived. Having said this, how do I present all these facts? These facts are cross-checked with the other evidences. Other evidences like references to literature. Now, when I talk about Indian literature, when I say I'm talking from Kalidasa, we don't respect Kalidasa. When I went to UK, I went to Stratford-upon-Avon. Shakespeare, he is one of my greatest favorites. But still, when compared to Kalidasa, is nothing. How they have kept him? And what respect we have given to Kalidasa? We have not given. We don't respect Kalidasa. So what I have done, we don't understand Kalyana. You know what I have done? I have taken sources only from the West in most of my articles. Because we believe anybody who is from the West with a fair skin, we will accept it. Right? Now, you Greek historian, Thucydides, people who actually were born before, who were present in Greece prior to the invasion of Alexander the Great to India, they were recorded about India. They are talking about the Pandyas. They were talking about Krishna's daughter, Sri Krishna's daughter. Krishna married a Pandyan princess. He had a daughter called Pandya. They are talking about her. They are talking about Pandya. They are talking about Chera. They are talking about Shora. How come? You know one thing, important only information from our Puranic sources. Unfortunately, poison has been built in Indian mind, dividing people on the basis of region and languages. There is a division of south and north. There is nothing. The simple. The Cholas have written very clearly. In a couple of days before, I have provided the inscription from a temple. Chola, the first Chola, was born as a grandson to Dushyanta and son to Bharata. See, no, the topic will go. Sorry, I think I have answered.
One thing, if nobody has to ask any question, I would like to continue further because they have to get a chance. Is there anybody who would like to ask the question? Please go ahead.
You continue, sir. You continue.
Achha. Now, one thing, when you say that the Sri Krishna married with a Pandya kingdom, and she had a daughter called Pandya, I mean, which could be a derivative, mother-like, from mother side. Now, what is the time frame you are talking about the Pandya dynasty in the south?
Yes.
What is the time frame you are talking about?
Same time frame. When see now, I'll give you one food for thought for you also. When we are talking about 5140 BCs of Srimad Ramayana, what is the time frame you are giving to Mahabharata? We are giving the time frame to Mahabharata, which barely is about 250 years later than Ramayana, which totally is nonsense. Because Ramayana has happened as per Purana record in Treta Yuga. Now our Kali Yuga is 432,000 years is Kali Yuga. Now we have come into around 5,005 years only. Prior to that, we had Dwapara Yuga, that is 8.64. That is about 1 million years ago, Ramayana has happened. Dwapara Yuga came little later. Then there is about 5,000 years. You can deduct this. So 95,000 years. Then how come 250 years difference? Right?
No, 1 minute. I am not talking about 250 years difference. I will say that if there is so much of difference, and the Brahbal, who was the 40th descendant of Rama, fought in the Mahabharata battle. It is recorded, Brahbal.
Yes.
Now take 40 years of 40 generations. In that case, the time frame of an average living person could be thousands of years.
Not necessarily.
Happen in the see, one thing that you can make sure that if you are believing that the Mahabharata war, that is 3,000, 5,301, etc. years ago,
Yeah.
and if the Ramayana is there a few million years ago, even if you
Yes.
count 10,000 years ago, 40% or the 40 generations between Ramayana and Mahabharata, do
Yes.
you think that the people lived for such a long time,
No.
generation wise?
No. The
Then
reason
how
is,
did it happen? Either
Yeah.
you say that the Puranic record of the
No. It's
Ramayana
It's
to
wrong.
Bharat,
No.
then
That's
how
why I
do
was
you,
trying to. Yeah.
how do you manage to arrive at
I'll
this
match it
time
this
frame?
way. That's why I touch upon the concept of time itself. Because your fact of time itself needs cross-examination. Today, quantum tells you time is not what you think it is. Time is elastic. Time is eternal. It has no beginning, no end. Now, in Shah, in quantum, explains it. No, on this basis only I read this information.
No, in
Today,
that
quantum.
case, 1 minute. In that
Yeah.
case, if you are talking about the quantum time,
Yeah.
then in that case, it goes to the level of new measures of time, which is called the
Cycling.
Heisenberg's. They are 10 raised to minus 40, 50, and in that range. That is the
Yes.
quantum time.
Yes.
And when you are talking of the millions of years, I think that these two don't match. My simple question is, let us take granted that according to the Indian tradition or the Bharatiya tradition, Mahabharata war was about 3,000 or 5,000 from
Okay.
earlier.
Yeah.
And if Ramayana is to have happened in the Dwapar Yuga, that means the 40 generations from Sri Rama to Bharat.
Agree.
You have to account for 40 generations. That means each generation has lasted for more than 10,000 years.
No, that is what exactly he's saying. I'll put it. It's a very paradoxical. I'll tell you one simple answer. You know, the point is, one sentence. Please think about it when you are alone and then try to ponder over it and then go through Heisenberg principle and also quantum theory and elasticity. In simple terms, Ramayana had happened. Ramayana is happening. Ramayana will happen.
I think you are philosophizing. You are philosophizing
what I'm
things,
saying.
and
Will
which is
happen.
not
It
the
is not
topic
only
of
restricted to Ramayana.
lecture today.
No. I'm not restricting it to Ramayana.
You are philosophizing.
I'm not restricting to
I will
Ramayana.
tell you, there is a. I will tell you one example.
Yeah.
There is a Abhanga by Sant Eknath, and he says, I think we are digressing. So
I think we'll have a separate discussion.
It was very nice talking to you. I came to know that you are exceeding the time frame that we mortals believe, and you have your own freedom to think. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, sir. Thank you. If you need, we'll have a discussion on time one day.
Yes.
No issues.
I think we are over time. So what I can see is that this has actually induced a lot of thinking, and this is a shocking talk in some senses. There are lots of things that have shocked people. So that's a good thing, because in many cases, the true history of India is shocking. So
the line is not clear. Audio isn't clear. Yeah.
All right. I mean, okay. So I was saying that this talk has probably shocked a lot of us. That saying that its family was the keeper of Papa and this Mecca and all those things. So this is very, very interesting, and I actually we would like to continue.
Yeah.
I think there is a question from Dr. Sampath Iyer. Maybe one more question.
Yeah. Good evening. And I was hearing to this discussion which was happening for some time. And I believe in only one thing. Each has his own views, his own opinions, his own studies.
Yes.
And his own beliefs.
Yes.
And when we are talking with each other, I think it's time that we realize that he is entitled to his beliefs, his views, his study. and we should not question it. Okay, you may agree, you may not agree, but why try to find out faults in his views? You accept it, you don't accept it, you don't accept it. You have the right on your own. I would feel that we will gain much better when we respect each other's views as
Yeah.
having his entitlement. That is
Yes.
his views based on some study which he has to have his views. And
Yeah.
this is the basic reason why we Indians have suffered all the time. We try to contradict our own selves. We say, no, okay, fine. You have your own, you are entitled to your views. You carry on, I'll have my views. I think that is the right way we should look at all these discussions which happen.
Yeah.
And that is where we should progress, and we should respect each other's views and his study in the matter.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to make. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. I
think
welcome
that-
contradiction for a simple reason. It stimulates me to do further research.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sir,
we have a hand raised by-
your speech has been very good, excellent talk, and I am so much impressed. But I want, sir, have you written that article where it is published? Where can I read it in black and white?
Sir, you can read
Okay, I
it
had
in my
posted the
blog.
link. I had posted the link. Can you please look at the links that I have
Yes,
posted?
www.
That is
Somebody's
open in
blog
front of
dot in.
me. Yeah, I am
Sir?
seeing that. I am seeing it in my mobile. But
Yeah.
any written material is also there, sir?
Same only online. I'm still researching, so I have not
Achha.
completed completed my research. Every day I keep on getting information. When people give me some contradictory information, I start digging more. I get some information. So it is a process of evaluation. You will find whatever you would like in my article. And if you have any doubt, please don't worry about contradicting me. Absolutely no issue. I am after.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Vivek-
Your lecture has been
Vivek
an
Mohan.
eye opener. It is an
Thank
eye
you.
opener.
Vivek-
Thank you.
Right. So I think we will move on to the last question by Sanjay Kumar ji. He has raised his hand. So please,
Yes,
after
sir.
this question, we'll
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah, I don't actually have a question, but I feel that the topic is very complex. And until we read the blogs, I
Yes.
don't think we have the right to agree or to disagree. We have to read and inform ourselves first. So it is kind of not a good idea to contradict you, sir, at this time,
No.
because we don't know.
Sir,
we don't
sir,
know.
I tell you, sir.
I think that's a fair
Yeah.
point. I think
Mr.
that's a very
Sanjay.
fair point. That
Mr.
he has
Sanjay.
pointed us, as I said, his talk today has starred us into thinking, has shocked us into thinking that there may be so many things that we just cannot imagine. So I would, yes. So the interested people should read his blog, should read articles around it, and maybe I'm very hopeful that we can have him as a speaker through our Voice of India Academy talk series again sometime.
Yeah.
And I invite all of you to become part of that Voice of India Academy. We have a group where we discuss these things and we point out more articles, etc.
Yes.
So if he can be part of it and all of you can be part of it, we can have discussions.
Yes, sir.
I mean, even otherwise
Sir,
through social media in
May
general.
I make one small submission?
Please, sir.
Since
Please.
we seem to belong to various disciplines and various states, I have one request to make. People from I know only two languages. One is my mother tongue Tamil, another is Sanskrit. That is my father tongue, and the communication I use English. I request people from other languages, please read the ancient text of your languages, and wherever you find evidence, please forward me with English translation. I'll be very, very, very highly obliged, because I need that input, because I know all the languages have treasures. Please send me, it will help me. And also, I request you to post your questions on my blog itself. If it is contradiction, I will not mind, because it means I have slipped up somewhere. I'll try to find the information. If it is wrong, I will open up. My interest is only to spread the information. When people start reading it, I think my objective is served. The other portion of my blog is dedicated to the practices of Hinduism as enunciated in Vedas and Smritis, without any of my opinion. because there is so many misinformation is going around us. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much, sir.
Excuse me, this voice
Yes,
of you are saying the forum. Do you have
Yeah.
a WhatsApp group or something, or is
Yes,
it the
yes, we have
same?
a WhatsApp group. We have a WhatsApp
So how do
group,
we
yes.
join that?
Okay, I'm sharing you my mobile number. So,
Okay.
and you can send me a WhatsApp request and I can add you.
Okay. Can you give me a mobile number?
I have shared it on the chat.
Okay. But the moment this switches off, the chat goes, no? That is the problem. Just
So I
repeat
don't
it
know
once.
how to reach all of you. Otherwise,
Just repeat it once. We will note it down.
It's 9793
9793
48
48
7116.
7116.
Yes,
And Mr.
that is Arnab Bhattacharya. He's the
Okay.
one who is going to add
Okay.
you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you all. So let us thank our speaker again and we finish it today. Okay, thank you.
Mega Nandri,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, Venkat Mohan.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. Thank you, sir.
Sarve bhavantu sukhinah.
Thank you, sir.